Joining me now for more on Jeffrey Epstein's apparent suicide is Miami Herald investigative reporter Julie Brown. Julie, you and your team's reporting really is credited with what we know now is the last phase of Jeffrey Epstein's life. Given how much you know about him, how much you studied him, how he was able to negotiate and plea down so many things, were you surprised that he apparently died by suicide today?
I think everybody was pretty surprised. I think that we all thought because he had allegedly tried this before, that he was probably being watched very carefully. So I think everybody was pretty stunned when this happened.
So this comes a day after this massive document cache was released. For people who haven't been following this closely, what's in there?
These were thousands of documents that the Miami Herald sued in court for. This was a defamation case involving Ghislaine Maxwell, who is allegedly helped him with this sex trafficking operation. She acted as a sort of madame, one of the people that helped orchestrate it and lure some of these women to his various homes in New York and Palm Beach. And as part of this lawsuit, which was settled in 2017, there was a lot of information. I had gotten a tip that there were a lot of information in this case that sort of provided evidence and pointed fingers at very important people, wealthy people, politically connected people who had been somehow on the periphery of this. So we decided that since most of the documents in the case were sealed, that we would go to court and ask the court to unseal these documents on the grounds that this is an important case and the public should know exactly how it happened.
So was Jeffrey Epstein providing young women to these people so that he could gain leverage on them?
Well, that's what one of the victims says, and she was in his circle of for a long time, for well over 2 years. During a key period, this was also the period right before he got caught, essentially luring a whole contingent, dozens of girls, to his Palm Beach mansion. So this particular victim, Virginia Giuffre, was part of his closest circle of people right around the time that he was operating this sex pyramid scheme involving underage girls in Palm Beach.
Are all of the documents public now? Are there more on the way where we're going to learn more about what was going on?
Now, this is only a fraction of the documents that have been released in that case, and we expect that we understand that there's thousands more that are still sealed. There is going to be a hearing on Thursday in New York where a judge is going to look at what's left and come up with some kind of a plan to unseal them. This was a preliminary group of documents that were connected to a motion for summary judgment in the case. They included a lot of exhibits. It was pretty, it was a huge trove of information, but there's more that's probably going to be released.
And of what you've read, was it disturbing?
There were some, awful things. It was difficult to read in places. When you have a 15-year-old girl just weeping in one of the documents, a houseman described how he ran across this 15-year-old girl who had just come back from Epstein's Island, and she was just completely traumatized by what had happened to her there. And, it's difficult to read. I mean, I'm a parent, and you think of your own children sometimes when things like this happen. It's inevitable. So it was pretty disturbing, some of the details.
All right, so several of the men that were named in the document have issued statements flat out refusing this and saying this is 100% or 1,000% of a lie. But it also seems like from your reporting here that several people besides that inner loop knew what was happening.
Yeah, it's hard to understand, as David Boies, the noted attorney in New York who represented Virginia, said to me yesterday that Epstein didn't do this alone, and a lot of people knew what he was doing, and it was sort of this thing that was in plain sight that a lot of people knew about. And I think that this is now where, we all as a society have to look around and understand that it's up to us to really come forward when we see something wrong or something that's amiss. I mean, how these young girls would be prancing around his various homes with other people present when they were clearly underage is kind of astounding.
Yeah. Julie Brown of the Miami Herald. Thanks so much.
Thank you.